There are times in factoring where you have to do more than one type of factoring together. You've already learned how to do common factoring and how to do trinomial factoring, for example. There are some problems where you have to do both types. Which type should you do first? You always do common factoring first. Okay, so when we look at it, this looks pretty ugly. It's 3x to the second plus 15x plus 8. So you think, oh boy, we've never dealt with anything where there's a number in front of the x squared. We'll see if there's anything that's in common, and then look at the trinomial that's left over. So is there anything in common between the 3x to the second, the 15x, and the 18? Yes, there is. There is a 3. I can divide a 3 out of each of those. And that leaves me, when I do that, with x squared plus 5x plus 6. X squared plus 5x plus 6, that's a trinomial that you're used to seeing. All right, so we're going to do the 3. Now that 3 doesn't go away, it stays there. And I've got my x and my x. Do I have any factors of 6 that add to be 5? I do have some factors of 6 that add to be 5. It's 2 times 3. 2 times 3 multiplies to be 6, adds to be 5, plus 2, plus 3. And there you have it. So this looks exactly the same, except, hey, I've got a common factor that ended up getting written up out front. You're actually combining two things you already know how to do. So let's look at another example. 4x to the second plus 20x minus 24. All right? Now, a good clue is, hey, there's a 4 out front. Is 4 the greatest common factor? It is. Divide all of these by 4. That gives me 4 in x squared plus 5x minus 6. All right, now this looks very similar to the one we just did, doesn't it? The reality, though, is that it factors very differently because of this minus 6. I need two things that multiply to be negative 6 and add to be positive 5. In this case, it's going to be negative 1 times 6. Because a negative 1 times 6 multiplies to be negative 6, and that adds to be positive 5. So I've got a 4, I've got x and x. We'll write minus 1 plus 6. Let me remind you that if you had written x plus 6 and x minus 1, if you flipped these two, it's exactly the same answer. It's going to be correct either way it's written. Now the last one, that looks a little trickier. It's got 6x to the third. Wait a minute. We haven't really dealt with anything to the third power. So, all right, take a look. These all have an x in them, don't they? And you can take out a 6. So if 6x is the common factor, all right, I'm going to do 6x, and then it'll be x to the second, and that'll be minus 4x, and that'll be minus 5. Now I've got 6x, x and x. Factors that multiply to be negative 5 and add to be negative 4. Well, hopefully you come up with negative 5 times 1. Minus 5 plus 1. Anyway, it's really just taking two things that we already know how to do and combining them together. Get in the habit of always checking for common factoring first, because that's the easiest type to check, and it makes everything else simpler to look at. Good luck.